Lucas Neal and Charlotte Olivia, and we'll hear from them again in just a few more minutes. So thank you so much. We're running late already, so I'm not going to give a huge introduction to the Arts Café. I think those of you who are here know what we do and what we've been doing for 30 years, with many thanks to Melanie Greenhouse, who couldn't be here tonight, and of course Christy Williams, who catapulted us for 15 years. And an extraordinary board and group of volunteers who I'll acknowledge later. This is our 30th year, and it's been rough. And as you know, we've got an amazing lineup for the spring. The pandemic was terrible to everybody and really hard for us. So to see a full room tonight is wonderful for all of us. We've been trying pretty hard, so thank you all for showing up. I'd like to welcome Lucas Neal and Olivia Charlotte to the stage. Lucas has been with us before. I first met Lucas when he was 20 years old. I lived on Block Island for a long time, so the 10 children that my daughter graduated with knew each other basically from the first ferry boat home from the hospital. And Griffin went to school at Springfield, and Griffin met two really cool dudes, Lucas and Marlon, and he brought them to Block Island for a summer. And that's when I met Lucas. Griffin's mom said, I think you're gonna really like Lucas and Marlon, like they're into poetry and music. And so that's how I met Lucas, and I could really identify with it. At 20 years old, that's when I decided to drop out of school, 3 classes shy of my college degree, to be a poet on Block Island. And when I met Lucas, that's when he was making the decision to leave school to really focus on his musical career. And it's been an honor to see him dive in with a commitment and a grit that's often thankless for the last 6 years. You do a lot of showing up and a lot of sending things out, hoping people might want you to come sing. And now Lucas, as you can read in his bio, he's one of the new young voices in Southeastern Connecticut and Rhode Island by sound waves. I'm not going to tell you the date, but he'll be headlining at the Knickerbocker Cafe in April. And then the reason I'm not telling you the date is because we have an event here. So Lucas has a huge future in front of him, and you can see him at the Daniel Packer Inn once a week, but Friday night, April 26th, you're gonna be here with us. I also want to say there's a young musician that I've been trying to hire. Her name's Olivia Christina, and I couldn't quite get her in time for this show. And then Lucas brought her tonight. So I don't have your full bio, Olivia. I'm just so glad that you decided to join us. So welcome to Lucas and Olivia. We're so glad to have you here.
It's so rare that I'm working and a friend isn't, or vice versa. So I just thought, hey, come play this show with me. I'm just going to play one song by myself, and then Olivia will join me. I've done this so many times in the energy of chasing something that scares me a little bit. I want to try a new song. I was broken when I saw I had lost your face, oh son. All these fairy tales of haze and all that blood raining on the moon. We got lucky, then got lazy. The carnival closed down. Our profits all went crazy. Moved out of town. I was raised to think as much. It gets cold and near the summer where the wind can call your bluff. And I retire from my rumblings as your answer's scar on my chin. I would die for you, my darling, if you would live with hope again. We can let it all go, just let it all go. Another perfect day, stumbling up the road. So the father knows his business, and the mother knows her sons. And he'll tell you what he's stolen, honey, but then she'll tell you what he's done. Oh, the sinners and the misfits, they got romance in their skin. And if you're tired of this dancing, you always fit right in with them. Something easier is coming. I was raised to think as much. Keep an eye on that horizon and a grace in your touch. I would forfeit all my fumbling. I would gamble on my trust. Yes, I would die for you, my darling, if you believed in us. We could let it all go, just let it all go. Another perfect day, stumbling up the road. Oh, how I dreamed you lived to watch it burn. Now you're only another lesson learned. Perfect day, stumbling off the road. We'll hang on to that one, I guess. Yeah, that one will stay off the shelf. Excuse me, I'm boiling hot. This is my dear, dear friend and my bandmate, Olivia Charlotte, over here. Is going to play some piano. We were actually a duo, a folk duo named Undercover Cameo, and that is the show, our first headlining show ever.
On a date that shall
On a date that you won't be there, but you know, think kind thoughts. Think kind thoughts of us. We're just going to play 3 songs for you folks. Lisa's a dear, dear friend, and it's always a great joy to do anything in correlation with her or the Mystic Arts Café that has been so... I feel like I have something to offer now, but they've given me many an opportunity when I felt like I had no business being there. And it's those experiences that can be rather formative for a young musician, so I appreciate it. This song is called Spring. It's on a project I just released a few weeks ago, and I'd be happy to share. I have CDs in the back I'd be happy to share with as many people as possible. This is, it's loosely about a place that you're capable of going mentally and emotionally that can be rather shocking, that it's even attainable. And I think it's most important to recognize, if you find yourself there, that you're not the only one there, and many more people have been there and come back. This next one's going to be in the key of C, if anyone came prepared. So that last song is released. This next one is not. God goodness me. I don't understand my music. I can't claim to understand it, but what I think this song is this is kind of my Burning the Amazon song. Or I wish they weren't burning the Amazon song. Thought better of that. a pulse in the room. The cards are on the table. I'm only young and able, and I'd run to your stable to embrace what you can forget. These graveyards are overflowing, while the river runs dry. Ashes fill the honest reasons in your eyes. Don't you ever wanna Don't let go of my hand. Am I allowed to have liquids in here?
Yes.
This is tea, by the way.
One of the many reasons we love the La Grua Center.
Thank you so much. I hope that we add something to your evening, just as Paul did, with this beautiful poetry. And I hope that your evening keeps getting added to. We're going to play a song that was once a poem that you've heard a million times, but you haven't heard it a million times by us. abroad that cannot grant themselves love, warmth, and peace. Maybe there's a God above. All I've ever learned from love is how to choose somebody who's not you. It's not a cry that you hear at night, not someone who's seen the light. It's cold and it's a broken hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
Well, I'm going to get started as you all filter in. What a beautiful opening, huh? Here's to Paul and Olivia. And Lucas one more time. I'm going to take a very, very brief moment to thank my board of directors. As it happens, for the first time, I think, in maybe 4 or 5 shows, every member of the board is here tonight. So that's a really wonderful thing. So I've got Wendy Halsey, and Liz Raisbeck, and Thea Moore, Julia Simpson, Christy Williams, Charlie Ewers, Owen Hughes, and John Sutherland. If you guys could just raise your hands. You'll also notice that they comprise 80% of our volunteers. So we're always looking for more volunteers. I want to thank Kate for all that you do for us, Sydney, and Jim Marshall, of course, who's been recording our shows for us since we started 30 years ago. Also want to thank our friends at La Grua Center. We shifted here a year and a half ago, and our experience here has been nothing less than stellar. What an amazing organization to work with. So for those of you not familiar with La Grua and the work that they do, please grab a pamphlet, sign up for their mailings, and come support them as they've supported us. So thank you so much to the openers. Thank you all for being here. Major Jackson, I'm so glad you're here. I do have to say, about 10 months ago, I got a phone call from Christy Williams, who had gotten a copy of Razzle-Dazzle, and he said, you gotta get Major Jackson. I really couldn't believe it when you said yes. It might have been before you won the last big prize. Let me tell you a little bit about Major. I mean, most of it's in his bio. This is a really condensed version. But Major Jackson has this sort of very unusual award-winning career as a poet. There's not a lot of poets that hit the ground running and stay running in that way. It's a wild phenomenon, even for the greatest of the greats. So Major's first book, which is called Leaving Saturn, was published in 2002, and it won the Cave Canem Poetry Prize for her first book of poetry. Since then, he hasn't turned back. Hoops followed in 2006, Holding Company in 2010, Roll Deep in 2015, then the collection of essays, Absurd Man in 2020, and Razzle Dazzle, his new and selected poems. And then there are the prizes and fellowships. There aren't a lot that he hasn't achieved yet. The Fine Arts Work Center in Providence, the Guggenheim Foundation, National Endowment for the Arts, fellowship at the Radcliffe Institute for Advanced Study at Harvard University, a Pushcart Prize, a Whiting Writers Award, the Pew Fellowship in the Arts, and the Walter Binner Foundation in conjunction with the Library of Commerce. And as you know, most recently, he received the 2023 fellowship from the Academy of American Poets, which is not something like most of the prizes and awards that Major has won that you can apply for. You're selected by a jury of your peers. So I don't need to tell you how great he is. Let's just get him up here. I do want to say, what's amazing to me as I've been reading through his accomplishments is how hard he is at work. So the poems keep coming in, but he serves as the Gertrude Conway Vanderbilt Chair in the Humanities at Vanderbilt University. He's the poetry editor of the Harvard Review, and he's the current host of Slowdown. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's a daily podcast supported by the Academy of American Poets. And they pick a curator every year to pick a poem that will be podcast every day. Major Jackson replaces Ada Limon, who had the title last year. Ada Limon was our last current United States Poet Laureate. And, as Christy Williams predicts, Major Jackson will be United States Poet Laureate before too long. I also want to say, in addition to that, he's a father and a husband. And that matters a lot to him, as many of you who bought the books, as you read, perhaps he'll share with that. Those are 2 full-time jobs. So I don't know how you do it. I'm really glad that you made it here to join us tonight. I'm honored. Thank you, Major.
I'm Major Jackson's clone. All these poems were written by me, not a computer. Paul, thank you so much for your poem. Truly, it might be easy for some folks to forget one of the most important conflicts in the globe that shaped our geopolitical reality, and we appreciate how those poems take us closer to the heart of a soldier who clearly has a conscience and kept their humanity. Thank you so much for that. And Lucas and Olivia, my God, you gave me chills. How bold of you to take on Leonard, though. Yeah. It was the original poems that made my hair stand, so keep composing, keep doing what you're doing. Lisa, sorry to give you a heart attack arriving 2 minutes before 7 o'clock. And, what a great honor, and it's really wonderful to see old friends here and former students who are here. Thank you, Christine. David is here, and Julie is here, and Annie is here, and Dana is here. It's exciting. I mean, these are, Fridays. You're supposed to be in a bar somewhere. Except for, the poetry reading. How terrific. So thank you for the communion. And I have a list here I do know that there's a lot of poets in here, so I'm going to do something different, which is speak a little bit about how some of these poems begin as aesthetic objects, and not, I don't want to say the word merely, let me just say that how the poems unfold are very, very deliberate. They're kind of worked over. Some of them might even be arguably overworked, but I aim for concision, and I aim for music and all those other elements that I believe really makes a work of art. I'm going to start off with why I write poetry, and it's a poem that uses anaphora. And the thing about anaphora is in the absence of rhyme and meter as kind of driving forces to create music in the poem, most 20th century and 21st century poets turn to repetition. And the thing about repetition is that sometimes the drive of the poem can exceed itself. And so at certain points you have to kind of dial it back. It's a poem that, in a way, when it circles back on the repetitive phrase, what follows is an accretion of sorts, either an accretion of imagery and hopefully of feeling. I wrote this poem after I taught at NYU for 15 years. Every Tuesday in the fall, or Monday in the fall, for 15 years, I would catch an early morning flight from Burlington, Vermont, on JetBlue, when JetBlue was $30 a ticket. I don't know if you remember that. And you could buy about 5 or 10 of them in a semester. And I would catch the last flight back, often getting a haircut in Brooklyn, seeing a jazz concert in the Village, having dinner with friends on Park Avenue. You have to do that when you live in Vermont. When I wrote, I was on my way down, and this gentleman sat next to me. Most people, when they sit next to you at that early, they want to go to sleep. You know? But this one particular person was clearly, he had his morning cup of coffee, arguably two, and the normal banter. You're going down for business. Yeah, what do you do? And now, to that question, I would often say, if I wanted to talk, I would say I teach. And then the next, well, what's your subject? Et cetera, et cetera. Where? But if I want to go to sleep, I say I'm a poet. I can just start putting together a pillow out of my jacket. But this one guy, to my surprise, as I was about to lay my head against the window seat, he said, "Why?" Incredulously, like, "Why?" And I have to admit, I didn't. It was early. It was 6 in the morning. Of course, I didn't have a coherent, cogent response. But I did start this poem. Why I write poetry? Because my son is as old as the stars. Because I have no blessings. Because I sit alone and welcome morning across the unshaped jaws of my lawn. Because the houses on my street sleep like turtles. Because the proper weight of beauty was her eyes last night beneath my eyes. Because the red goblet from which I drank made even water a Faustian toast. Because radishes should be banned, little pellets that they are. Because someone says it's late and begins to rise from a chair. Because life is ordinary unless you plan and set in motion a war. Because I have not banked enough. Because my lips moisten whenever I hear Mingus's goodbye pork pie hat. Because I plant winter vegetables in July because I could say the morning died like candle wax and no one would question this truth. Because I relished being sent into the coat room in 3rd grade where alone I would turn off the lights and run my hands over my classmates' coats as they're playing tag with their bodies. Because once I shoplifted a pair of shorts at the Gallery Mall and was caught. Because soup reminds me of the warmth of my grandmother and old aunts. Because the long coast of my dreams is filled with saxophones and poems. Because someone, somewhere, is buying a Piaget. My eyes are getting bad since the last time I was here. Because someone, somewhere, is buying a Rolex or a Piaget. Because I wish I could speak 3 different languages, but have to settle for the language of business and commerce. Because I better get it in my soul. Because my grandfather loved clean syntax, cologne, Stacey Adams shoes, Irish tweed caps, and women, but not necessarily in that order. Because I think the elderly are sexy and the young are naive and brutish. Because a vision of trees only comes to wise women and men who can fix old watches. Because I write with a pen whose supply of ink comes from the sea. Because gardens are fun to visit in the evenings when everyone has put away their coats and swords. Because I still do not eat corporate French fries or rhubarb jam. Because punctuation is my jury and the moon is my judge. Because my best friend in 4th grade chased city buses from corner to corner. His father could not stop looking up at the sky after his return from the war. Because parataxes is just another way of making ends meet. Because I have been on a steady diet of words since the age of 3. So this poem that I'm about to read was written while driving cross country en route to Oregon, Eugene, Oregon, where I did graduate school. The first 3/4 of the trip was a delight. It was wonderful seeing the country by car and camping along the way. My girlfriend at the time. Kansas is a big state. When you first hit it, you're like, yay, Kansas, there's the Rockies. Then after some time, I just wanted to get out of there. It was going on too long. So, I started speeding and a cop stopped me. And he was kind, he was nice. We both knew I was in the wrong. But I wrote this poem while he was writing his ticket. And one thing I will say, putting together the new and selected 20 years, I'm not sure if you've done this, poets in the room, but you start to take an inventory of all the things that don't exist in the world anymore. I wonder if you can hear them. I will let the young people under 30 know that we used to have this thing in our car called a cassette. And you didn't Bluetooth it, there was plastic, you stuck it in. Sometimes it would get stuck, you had to fish it out. Indian song. After Wayne Shorter, Freddie Hubbard's playing the cassette deck, 40 miles outside Hayes, and I've looked at this Kansas sunset for 3 hours now, bristling as big rigs bounce and grumble along I-70. At this speed, cornfields come in splotches, murky yellows and greens abutting the road shoulder, the flat wealth of the nation whirring by. It's a kind of ornamentation I've gotten used to, as in a dream, esplaniered against the sky's blazing, cloud love's cascade, lace-like, darkening whole fields. 30,000 feet above, someone is buttering a muffin. Someone stares at a sky phone, and momentarily a baby cries in pressurized air. Through double-pane squares, someone squints, fields cross-hatched by asphalt strips. It is said Cézanne looked at a landscape so long he felt as if his eyes were bleeding. No matter that, I'm heading west. It's all so redolent, this wailing music by my side, you fingering fields of light, sunflowers over earth, miles traveled, a patchwork of goodbyes. So, at some point, I became very self-conscious and aware of not living up to the job of being a poet. And when you say you're a poet, people expect certain things from you. They expect a sonnet. They expect you, if you're dating someone or in courtship or married, they expect a poem on Valentine's Day. No harm. And an ode. You have to write an ode. In fact, thank you, Paul. I wasn't going to read this, but I said I'm going to read my ode. This is called Ode to Everything, because I couldn't figure out what I was, you have to identify that single object. That's where the inventiveness comes up, Ode to my socks. Ode to my cat. This is Ode to Everything. Somehow, I have never thought to thank the ice cream cone for building a paradise in my mouth. And can you believe I have never thought to thank the purple trout lily for demonstrating its six-petaled dive? Or the yellow circle in a traffic light for illustrating patience. My bad. In my life, I have failed to praise the postman, whose loyalty is epic, the laundress who treasures my skinny jeans and other garments, and the auto repairman who clangs a wrench inside my car, tightening her own music. Were my name called and I were summoned on a brightly lit stage to accept a little statuette, after staring in utter disbelief, I would thank my dentist, as well as my neighbor, who sits vigil beside the dying, far away from the lights, and my fourth grade teacher, who brought down 3 tape rulers on my hands as punishment for daydreaming out a window during an exam I already completed. Mea culpa. Now that I know the value of the peaks across from Flanders Hill, I will forever express reverence for their green crowns. I will never fail again to say small devotions for the scar on a friend's face that lengthens when I walk into a room. That bit about hitting, it was this 80s, so teachers could do that back then, particularly at Catholic school. So I lived in Nashville after 18 years of teaching at University of Vermont, and that's fine. I call it my midlife crisis move. And Nashville wasn't strange to me. I grew up there in the summers. My grandma took me and my cousins down. And it's changed so much. I don't know if you've been to Nashville in the last 10 years, having previously been there. There is buildings going up everywhere, and a bride and bridesmaids often arrive there, and they celebrate in the way that some people used to celebrate in Vegas. So Nashville's turning into this, place where a lot of women wear boots and pink hats and dance on the back of a truck, which is cool. I'm not judging. I'm just saying. But it's also cool because it's Music City. It's amazing. Nashville Sonnet. I told you. Yeah, I'm writing a sonnet. Nashville Sonnet deconstructed on a bed of magnolia blossoms. In this city, no one talks dialectical materialism. From high up, the cranes speak an invincible language. The trusses extend over pedal taverns and tractors, joyriding flatbeds of dancing tourists. And it is like reading God's lips. On guard, she says. Today, I am landscaping, staking light across my wintergreen yard to get the worm's perspective, to beg his forgiveness. I am reaching fingers into darkest soil, pondering the afterlife. A house wren flouts its surefire code to all this achy, breaky singing. Such intricate phrasing like a compass behind Giacomo da Latini's feather quill pen. I live in a city of acoustic martyrs addicted to heartbreak. Plus this, even the magnolias, vulnerable each spring, court a delicious despair and gift their cream-colored blossoms like spark plugs for the living. This next poem was, I hope it's in here. Here it is, okay. The good thing about doing kind of a retrospective book is an index. Particularly when your memory is going in your early 50s. I'm like, oh, what's the name of that? What page is it on? This is called Mighty Pawns, from Philly every time. Every now and then it'll come out. This is called Mighty Pawns, and this poem was written, there's a thematic interest, but really I've been teaching the monistic, and some of you have taken workshops know that that is the one sentence poem. I've been teaching about 5 years and realized I had never written one myself. So the monistic, as you hear, is a poem in which it's a one-sentence poem, but it's driven by how long you can extend a sentence into a complex sentence with all of its subordinate clauses and conjunctive clauses, and it is like juggling. And what I tell my students is it has to be a sentence of integrity, i.e. no run-ons, no cheating, no semicolons. You can think of it as the one-period poem that's dressed up. Okay? Mighty Pawns. And it's about a group of kids that I grew up with in Philadelphia who played chess. And they were very, very good at playing chess. They traveled. But from where I'm from, you wouldn't have looked at these kids if you passed them and had thought that they were grandmasters of the game. Mighty Pawns. If I told you Earl, the toughest kid on my block in North Philadelphia, bow-legged and ominous, could beat any man or woman in 10 moves playing white, or that he traveled to Yugoslavia to frustrate the bearded masters at the Belgrade Chess Association, you'd think I was given to hyperbole. And if at dinner time, I took you into the faint light of his Section 8 home, reeking of onions, liver, and gravy, his 6 little brothers fighting on a broken love seat for room in front of a cracked flat screen, one whose diaper sags is a wonder it hasn't fallen to his ankles, and the walls behind doors exposing sheetrock, the perfect O of a handle, and the slats of stairs missing, where baby boy gets stuck trying to ascend to a dominion foreign to you and me, with his loud timbales and drums blasting down from the closed room of his cousin, whose mother stands on a corner on the other side of town all times of day and night, except when her relief check arrives at the beginning of the month. You'd get a better picture of Earl's ferocity after school, on the board, in Mr. Sherman's class, but not necessarily when he stands near you at a downtown bus stop in a jacket a size too small, hunching his shoulders around his ears, as you imagine the checkered squares of his poverty and anger, and pray he does not turn his precise gaze too long in your direction, for fear he blames you and proceeds to take your queen. Okay, some new poems. Thank you. I'm going to read this. I didn't plan on reading this one, but Charlie read this poem to his grandson, I believe, and was delighted by his surprise. It's an extended conceit. The extended conceit introduces a comparison at the beginning of a poem. If you can think of 2 columns, one thing is like X, and you talk about this column over here by only talking about what's over here. But meanwhile, the reader has that opening metaphoric proposition in the beginning. This is titled, "It Must Be the Supermarket in Me." It must be the supermarket in me, all lit from inside, full of wide aisles and thoughtful shelf stocking, where you'll find my feelings and memories. That's why on the outside I look so ordered and put together. My inner supermarket contains an old world butcher shop with no trace of the slaughter. Shoppers arrive with an unfathomable hunger, which I relieve by offering freshness, quality, and value. Some are penniless and can only fantasize, licking their lips at rows of artisanal cheeses and meats behind glass display cases, the cloth-bound cheddars and goat, at ropes of cured salami and prosciutto. Still, they taste. I offer free samples at stations throughout my supermarket, so people will come to know and like me. In the produce department, many test my pears and avocados for ripeness. In the floral area, they sniff. Some walk off with my bouquets. I contain cheerful baggers who will escort you to your car. At times, truthfully, I dislike this about myself, forever accommodating. I've not always had a supermarket in me. It began when the church in me lost its congregation and when I lost my mother's love to cocktails and other stimulants. There is no place for anger in my supermarket. I keep it in the back room with a sign that reads, "No trespassing, employees only." It's a way of being in the world, a self full of checkout lines and refrigerators until someone runs through me, knocking down my pyramids of canned goods, or panic shopping, leaving empty aisles. It's called Let Me Begin Again. Let me begin again. As a quiet thought in the shape of a shell, slowly examined by a brown child on a beach at dawn, straining to see her future. Let me begin this time knowing the drummings in my dreams is me inheriting the earth, is morning lighting up the rivers. Let me burn my vanities, old music in the pines, snifters of scotch, a day moon like a signature of night. This time, let me circle the islands of my fears only once, then live like a raging waterfall and grow a magnificent mustache. Let me not ever be the bird cage or the serrated blade or the empty season. Dear glacier, dear sea of stars, dear leopards disintegrating at the outer limits of our greed. Soon we will only encounter you in motivational tweets. Reader, I should have married you sooner. This time, let me not sleep like the prophet who believes he's seen infinity. Let me run at breakneck speeds towards sceneries of doubt. I have no more dress rehearsals to attend. Look closer, I am licking my lips. So I am married to a poet, and we, Valentine's Day come around, as I mentioned earlier, so I'm going to read one of those. It says a lot if I didn't put it in this book, wouldn't it? Lovesick, there it is. First, you will need to cross some dark threshold. I suggest lying on your back, in a pasture of cut ryegrass or in a city park. I suggest planting an arm behind your head. You have inherited acres of a night sky, and she is your aurora borealis. And though you cannot see the world's wild shadows, here she will be, nacreous, grace, wavering in bands of blue-green light, ribbons of gold neon swimming beneath skin. You will want to write a long letter to your dead. You will encounter her mind as a kind of iridescent song, heroic and dense. You will feel fetched as though from some polluted river. Her glances will pass over you like folklore. Do not be afraid. This is wonder mirroring itself and breaking across your face. Endless treetops and silhouettes, knowing looks of your elders. And I'm feeling about three more poems. I'll read My Children's Inheritance. Which, typically I wouldn't think of something like that until an elder friend said, I'm doing estate planning. They'll be lucky. My Children's Inheritance. A fancy for high green hills by the sea. Baggy spaces in the day. A knack for gunpowder thinking. A library humming like a swarm of gnats. The intrigue of a woman with a pitch-perfect mind. blinking eyes whose silence is ancient and naked, a grave which is not a grave but a ruin to visit in middle age, a chifforobe of half-empty cologne bottles in various colors and dried flowers more dignified in death, both evidence that I once cherished bouquets in timelessness. Bullet casings, a bowl of seashells, fine pins, one the Aurora Diamante, with its two-tone rhodium plating that glitters when my right hand rages toward heaven. A love of big plates of pasta, Argentinian folk music, African rainforests, and the speeches of Lincoln that miss the pages of my books more than my doorways. A habit of dancing when the needle drops its existential beats, a disregard for the enemies of linnets and macaws, fears that match the hawk-haunted buttes out west. A hard desire for justice, the habit of lip biting when trouble nears, the way my mouth opens like a flower, my quiver of arrows that outweighs the world, leaving the animals to bear witness. Memories of laughter that was bread and water, stylish hats, ways to time travel, the consequences of mistakes and second thoughts gummed to the future. A collection of radios, stacks of vinyl, the limitations of secrets, long nights that cascade like waterfalls, my madness, granular and complex, sealed like a footfall. So I've been writing since those years in Oregon, a long poem called Urban Renewal. And it's a long, extended sequence of a poem. I think I'm close to finishing it. I had this absurd number that I wanted to hit, number of poems. I am nowhere close, but that's okay. I'm happy to have my mountain climb every morning. And I want to share one of these poems because I gave myself formal constraints, and that was to write no more than 20 lines. So most of these poems I average probably 18 to 22 lines, I want to say. And they rhyme, A-B-A-B, but they also use the either the pentameter or the hexameter, the French hexameter. In this particular case, the urban renewals that were included in, I want to say, the third or fourth book it initially started with me writing about Philadelphia, but as I've grown and traveled, it became, in a way, a kind of a journal of sorts and a travel log. So I'm going to read the poem that's set in Spain that's dedicated to a poet that was important to me named Mark Strand, who we visited there in Spain. And he was frail at that time, had gone through surgery. But he was very stately, very gentlemanly. Spain for Mark Strand. Beneath canopies of green, Unionists marched doggedly outside the embassy. Their din was no match for light lancing through leaves of madrone trees lining the paseo, then flashing off glossy black Maybachs, skidding round the plaza like a martyr fleeing the paparazzi. Your voice skipped and paused like a pencil. Layers of morning pastries flaked gingerly, then fell soft as vows on a china plate. One learns to cherish the wizened reserve of old world manners. Two blotched hands making wings of a daily paper beside us between sips of cafe con leche. A demeanor, in short, gentle as grand edifices along this boulevard. Yet Guernica is down the street, and some windshields wear a sinister face, sometimes to think Goya. Just south of here, on the lower slopes of the Sierras, fields of olive groves braid the land like a Moorish head, but those sultans were kicked out long ago. In the lobby of the Hotel Urban, I wait for a cab, my obedient rolling bag like a pet beside me. I have loved again another city, but Madrid is yours. Her caped olés, her bullish flag, her glass pavilions and outdoor tables like a festival of unbroken laughter, and our dark harbors finding level. Here's my last poem, and the object of this poem was to write I wrote about this for a recent episode of the Slowdown that'll air hopefully soon, about the predominance of self-portrait poems. It used to be everyone was writing villanelles, and then everyone's writing pantoums. It's really interesting to see forms come in and out of fashion. Well, everyone today is writing a self-portrait, but I didn't want to write self-portrait. So I borrowed a conceit by the writer Jorge Luis Borges, and this is called Double Major. The conceit is Major's inner self is speaking about the Major you currently are looking at right now. Thank you for being a great audience. I emerge whenever he confuses the lamp for a moon. It is then he thinks of fine bindings and ordered athenaeums. I own his face, but he washes and spends too little time behind his ears. He sees me in the mirror behind thick clouds of shaving cream, then suddenly believes in ghosts. His other selves are murals in the cave of his mind. They are speechless, yet large. They stare his wishes like summer rain and amplify his terrors like newscasters. What he doesn't know, his dreams are his father's dreams, which are his grandfather's dreams, and so on. They possessed a single wish. Tragically, he knocks repeatedly on the bolted door to his imagination. Tragically, he believes he can mend his wounds with his poetry, and thus I am his most loyal critic. He trots me out like a police dog. He calls our thirst for pads and pencils destiny. Our voices come together like two wings of a butterfly. On occasion, he closes his eyes and sees me. I am negative capability, the test to all men are created equal. We are likely to dance at weddings against my will. He pulled out the same moves writing this poem, a smooth shimmy and a hop. This page is a kind of looking glass, making strange whatever stone carvings he installed along the narrow road to his interior. I suffer in silence, wedded to his convictions. He would like to tell you the truth about love, but we are going